Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Tom.
Hey, it's our society unit today, and we're going to talk about giving stuffed toys a second chance at life. And it's kind of cute. We're going to talk about a particular store or charity that has been established or founded to take old stuffed toys that were loved before and give them a second home.
Right, these are second-hand stuffed toys. So as you know, last month we talked about second-hand clothing, and now we're going to focus on second-hand stuffed toys, which are those soft little animal toys that you have when you're a kid. You can have a teddy bear, or you can have a stuffed rabbit or a turtle, or you name it. There's probably a stuffed animal in that shape. And I didn't really have one when I was a kid, though. I wasn't really into that. But
I like baby dolls. I never really had a stuffed animal.
I think my sister had a teddy bear. I think she had one. And my daughter has a couple of stuffed cats that she still has, even though she's pretty old for them, but she still has them. And indeed, sometimes people just get rid of those stuffed animals. And what's going to happen to them? Maybe there are kids out there in the world who would be happy to have a second-hand stuffed toy. So someone's going to give them a second chance.
Right now, though, we're going to read through today's lesson and then we'll be back. Can you recall the stuffed animal that played with you in happy times and comforted your sorrows during your childhood? These soft companions often became our first friends. Yet, as we grew up, many were left behind. This inspired Charlotte Liebling to found Loved Before and give these cherished toys a new opportunity to spread joy. The story begins while Liebling was volunteering at a charity second-hand store in London. There, she discovered numerous boxes filled with donated stuffed animals. As a lover of stuffed toys, she could see their emotional value. But she was also distressed by a grim reality. Most were destined for garbage dumps. In 2019, motivated to make a difference, Liebling established Loved Before, which she calls a stuffed animal adoption agency. Loved Before starts by collecting donated plushies. Original owners are encouraged to share the toys' stories, including their names, likes, and adventures. Volunteers then thoroughly clean and restore these toys before they are photographed and listed online with detailed profiles for adoption. This process allows potential new families to acknowledge each toy's unique legacy and sentimental value. Loved Before has seen remarkable success, rehoming over 60,000 plush toys in the past 5 years and donating 50% of the profits to charities. The organization also advocates for sustainable development by reducing waste and promoting a circular economy. Beyond concrete contributions, an intangible flow of love continues. One touching story involves an 80-year-old woman. She donated her teddy bear in her final days and hoped that it would find new love after her departure, allowing her legacy of love to carry on. Through Loved Before, Liebling is inspiring people to view used items differently. By treating each toy as a treasure filled with life and love, rather than an object, she demonstrates that their value doesn't diminish over time. In fact, it's enriched by ongoing love and interaction.
Okay, everybody, let's talk about the contents of today's lesson. Again, we're talking about a second chance for stuffed toys. And there's this organization in London called Loved Before, which we'll get to right now. So we begin in the first paragraph by asking a question. Can you recall the stuffed animal that played with you in happy times and comforted your sorrows during your childhood? So can you remember this? Maybe you had a stuffed animal that was your sort of companion, your friend, and it comforted you in good and bad times. So you had sorrows, maybe when you got yelled at by your parents or something, or you got in trouble at school, or somebody stole your toy or something. So you felt sorrowful or you felt sad. So you kind of hugged that stuffed animal to make you feel better.
Oh, yeah, it was very comforting, right? On the outside of the stuffed animals is a very soft cloth, and it's kind of thick, and it feels very just comforting. We're going to talk about that cloth in a minute, but right now, I'm going to continue on. I never had stuffed toys for myself. I preferred little baby dolls because I just thought that was fun. Even though I was the oldest sister and my brother was just a year older than me, I was just drawn to babies all the time. And my mom liked babies, so she would buy me baby dolls instead of stuffed toys. I don't think my oldest brother had any stuffed toys. He liked to play, like with little toy guns and soldiers and stuff like that. But we all have things that bring us comfort, especially when we're really young growing up. And these soft companions, a companion is someone who stays with you and keeps you company. These often became our first friends as little kids. So yet as we grew up, many were left behind, especially if you go away to college or when you get married. Do you take all your stuffed toys to your new place? It's hard to give them away, though, because they meant something to you growing up. So I don't know. It's hard to throw them out or even to give them away if they mean something to you. Well, because of this whole situation, we have a lady named Charlotte Liebling from the UK. She was inspired to start or found a new company. It's a charity called Loved Before. And she wanted to give these cherished toys a new opportunity to spread joy. So we're going to find out how she did this. It's kind of a fun idea. I'd read about her a few years ago, and I thought, oh, that's a fun idea to do. In the UK, they have museums where they have exhibits that they display these really old, very old, like even antique stuffed toys from famous families or famous people. They even have the first stuffed toy, which was actually an elephant, just so you know.
Interesting. Related to this, recently when I went to New York, I went to MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art, and there was a kind of sculpture there that somebody made of stuffed animals. They were all tied together, and then they were suspended from the ceiling with string or something like that. It was kind of weird, and they made the faces of the stuffed animals all face inwards, so you couldn't see their faces. It was kind of weird, but I think the point I'm trying to make here is that maybe you could make these stuffed animals into some sort of work of art or something.
Oh, you could, yeah,
possibly.
If you're artistic. Sure.
But that's not what Ms. Liebling is intending here. She wants to give them a second chance and to give them to children so that they can experience the joy that other kids did before they grew up and went off to college or whatever. Now, the story begins while Liebling was volunteering at a charity secondhand store in London. So that's what a store does. If they're secondhand, they give out used items. People can donate clothes or furniture or whatever to these stores, and then they turn around and sell these things to people at cheaper prices.
Yeah, lower price usually. Yeah.
Right, and sometimes people buy them because they're not rich enough to buy them at regular stores, but also sometimes kind of people find interesting items that have been donated, and they just buy them to wear them to their classes in school or whatever.
Like vintage clothing? Right. Remember we talked about that.
There are people who collect those sorts of things. And yes, indeed, she founded this company that deals with such stuff. And again, this is how it started. She was working at that charity secondhand store in London, England.
She discovered numerous or a lot of boxes filled with donated stuffed toys. What happens are people will gather up what they don't want. They'll put them in a box and take it to a secondhand store, a charity, and leave them there. And then that store has to decide whether to keep them, to, clean them, to make them ready to be sold again, or to toss them out in the garbage. So she saw all of these boxes with stuffed toys, but she said she was also distressed or upset by a grim reality. Most of the toys in these boxes were destined for garbage dumps. She knew that most of them would never be cleaned and put out for sale again. There were just too many of them, or maybe they were in bad shape. Grim here is one of our vocabulary words. A grim reality refers to kind of a sad or gloomy or even depressing situation or whatever you put it in front of. Of course, it's an adjective here, a grim, a reality, a grim real world that she's facing. Because she knew a lot of these toys, if not most, let's be honest, would be tossed out in the garbage. If you're destined for something, Tom, what does it mean to be destined for?
That's what's going to happen to you. It's kind of your fate. It's your destiny. Somebody has decided this for you, usually maybe a higher power like God or whatever. And in this particular case, though, these stuffed animals were supposed to go to the garbage dumps, excuse me. That was their fate. That was their destiny. And indeed, that is what happens to some of these stuffed animals when they're donated. They're probably just going to be thrown out because they probably don't have any use for them. But she was distressed by that. She thought, wow, I should probably try to do something with those stuffed animals. They don't need to go to garbage dumps, or even worse, they don't need to go to an incinerator, which would be a terrible fate for those stuffed animals. Imagine a cute little brown teddy bear going up in flames in an incinerator. That's just too depressing to think about.
Oh, yeah, it's very sad. But people, of course, run out of room in their homes, and so they gather up that extra stuff to try to make more room or more space in their homes. And sadly, what gets put into those boxes for charity or for secondhand stores are things that once were very, very important and loved by family members. But, you know, I'm running out of space in my own apartment, so I understand why people sometimes have to give these things away. Well, in 2019, Ms. Liebling, Charlotte, was motivated to make a difference. She wanted to change this situation around and not see so many of these stuffed animals just go to the garbage dump. So she established a company named Love Before, and she describes her company as a stuffed animal adoption agency, which is hilarious. To motivate or to be motivated just means you have a reason for doing something. And she was motivated to make a difference. She was motivated. Her reason for establishing Love Before, she didn't want to see all these stuffed animals just get burned up or tossed into a garbage dump.
Yep, that was her motivation. It gave her some sort of reason to proceed forward. So she wanted to make a difference. So she established, she set up this company, or this agency, as she calls it. It's an animal adoption agency, or more specifically, it's a stuffed animal adoption agency. And of course, adoption just refers to when you take something on in your family. Adoption could refer to children from a family who's lost their parents or something, and the children go to live with somebody else. They have adopted those children. And here she's going to have children adopt those stuffed animals who would otherwise be thrown out. Okay, that brings us to the end of our discussion about the first part. Here comes our Chinese teacher.
听众朋友大家好，我是安娜。我们今天来看一个很感人的故事哦。好了，也不是故事啦，我们要来谈一个绒毛动物领养机构 Loved Before， 这是它的名字。那其实我觉得这篇的主题呢，跟环保啦、跟环境啦、跟爱也有一点关系。不过文章因为设计成为所谓的文艺选择，那这个文艺选择其实蛮多的读者都会觉得很困难，所以我们还是建议大家先可以扫描一下所谓的选项。那这个选项当中有几个字要特别注意，比如说 A、B 跟 F， 我们看到都好像是动词过去式之类的这种形态，但是其实像 A discovered 发现， B established 建造或者是创立 established， 或者是 F 的 distress 使某人痛苦，我们看到它有可能是过去式啦，或者是过去分词。不过我们要特别注意的是 F distress 这个字。 distress 啊，如果我们说使人痛苦，像我们国中的时候有学过 surprise 使人感到惊讶，像这种动词它的形容词就是本身动词 ing 或者是 pp 借过来可以当形容词，也就是说 F 的这个答案 distressed 它有可能是过去式啊，过去分词，甚至有可能是一个形容词的概念哦。好，所以这边我们特别注意。接下来就看一下 G， G 这个单字的 diminish 它是个动词，是减少的意思，而 H 的 acknowledge 也是动词哦，通常指的是认可或者是公认承认。那一般我们说的承认 admit A-D-M-I-T 通常是自己个人承认一些事情啊。如果你跟这个牧师啊，或者是跟某人这个承认一些比较秘密的事情或做错的事情，则会用 confess C-O-N-F-E-S-S confess。 那这里的 H acknowledge 通常会有公认或认可的意思。好，再来一个 I 呢，我们也要稍微做个字变。 I 的 companion 啊是名词，跟你一起作伴的人或者是伙伴都叫做 companion。 那跟它常常很搞混的几个字，比如说 company C-O-M-P-A-N-Y company 是名词哦，它可能是公司或者是陪伴这件事情。那么 accompany A-C-C-O-M-P-A-N-Y 则是及物动词，它后面通常会加对象 accompany someone to a place， 陪伴某人到一个地方，或者是陪伴某人。好，我们稍微做了字变之后，接下来就要赶快解题咯。当然这个文章啊，第一段就会先开头一下啊，你是不是回想起小时候啊，常常跟我们作伴的这些绒毛玩具呢？这些绒毛玩具如何如何好。在第一段的第一句就来一个限定用法的关系子句，先行词是 the stuffed animal， 就是所谓的填充玩具，后面的 that 一直到句尾可以左右括号，它就是一个很明显的限定用法的关系子句。限定哪些填充玩具呢？就是那个我们小时候玩的。好，接着来到了第二句哦，这些软软的什么通常都是我们的第一个朋友，所以这些软软的什么我们找个名词跟我们作伴我们的朋友，所以第一题答案选 I companions， 而且复数也符合这里的这个文法规则，所以第一题应该是 I 没有错。有时候啊，你不是很确定答案的时候，你可以先写一下在旁边，那待会如果有其他的选项觉得好像该放进去的时候，就可以做一些调换。因为像这种题型的话，它就是一个萝卜一个坑，也就是 C10 选10的概念。好，当然我们如果要选 C owners 的话，文意有点不通啦。那接下来看到第三句，但是当我们长大的时候啊，我们就把它们丢掉了，对不对？这里的 as 我们要特别抓出来一下，因为 as 如果当连接词的时候，在英文当中有3个意思：一 when， 2 because， 3如同好像。你要根据上下文去判断它的文意，但是至少我们在 as 之后看到动词的 grew up， 我们可以判断它是一个连接词，连接逗点前后的子句。那在这里应该是 when的意思比较通顺。好，在这里的 as 我们谈到之后，要先拉到第二段。第二段的第3句，第一个字的 as 也要抓出来，因为 as 这个字在英文当中，它本身也可以当成介系词，身为、作为什么身份。所以为什么第3句的第一个字是一个介系词的概念呢？因为后面啊 a lover of stuffed toys 是一个身份，身为一个填充玩具的爱好者 blah blah blah， 谁如何如何，这个谁呢，就是我们第一段第4句谈到的所谓的绒毛玩具的领养，绒毛动物的这个领养机构，也就是 Charlotte Limblin。 好，那接着呢，我们就直接来看一下第二段，他谈到的是一个这个机构的缘起。原来啊 Limblin 呢，他之前呢就是在伦敦二手商店的一个慈善的机构啊，就是做志工，然后他就发现说，哇，怎么有好多箱的这些被捐赠的一些填充的这一些动物，然后他就很喜欢嘛，他就觉得说，哎呀，可是如果说这样子的都被丢掉呢，还不如呢大家可以来领养。所以第二段的大概的大意是这个样子。不过我们要看一下第二段的第2句，我们这边特别抓出来，它是一个简化的关系子句，先行词是 numerous boxes， 很多箱，很多箱什么呢？后面的 filled 到句尾的地方我们左右括号，关系词 which 或者是 that 省略，还有 be 动词 were， 这边因为是当时而且是复数，后面的 be filled with 就是塞满着什么什么东西。那这一句的句型刚好就跟最后面第5段同样也是第2句的地方是完全一样的句型，所以第5段的第2句 先行词是 a treasure 宝物宝贝 filled with life and love， 这地方也可以左右括号，它是完全同样的句型。不过在第二段呢，第4句要稍微注意一下哦，它是一个分词构句的概念 motivated to make a difference， 被激发要做出改变，谁被激发要做出改变呢？原来是动词逗点之后的 bling， 就是这个女生呢，她就因为被激发想要做出改变，所以创立了 Loved Before 这个机构。好，这个分词构句通常会省略的就是 when、because、if 或者是 although 这些连接词跟逗点之后的主词是一样的，所以在这里的 motivated， 不过呢，为什么会用 PP， 为什么会用这个过去分词呢？因为其实它连主词和 be 动词都一起省略了。好，所以在这里的分词构句我们抓出来。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, everybody, welcome back to our program. Let's continue talking about Loved Before. This is a stuffed animal adoption agency in London, England, founded by Charlotte Liebling because she wanted to give new life to these stuffed animals that would otherwise be thrown out and sent to a garbage dump or burned up in an incinerator. So here in the third paragraph it says, Loved Before starts by collecting donated plushies. Here, plushie is another word for a stuffed animal. It's not that common. I think the writer of this article was just looking for another word. If something's plush, it's kind of soft. It's made of cloth. For example, maybe you have a plush sofa. It's very soft. It's very comfortable to sit on. Or you might also describe someone's apartment as being plush. Oh, you've got a very plush, luxurious apartment. It must have cost you millions of NT dollars.
I actually thought this was the brand name of stuffed toys, which it is. Actually, there is a company that sells plushies. But we use this, we don't use this much in the U.S., but they do in the U.K.
Makes sense.
So it sounds like our writer may have been from the U.K. But yeah, plushie is also defined as a toy that's covered in plush or very soft, thick, luxurious material. And it's usually filled with stuffing or soft material. So plushie, I'd never ever heard anyone call a stuffed toy or a stuffed animal plushie until I saw a movie that was British. And then I thought, but I looked it up online and there's a company that makes plushies. So just remember, it's just a toy. There are lots of different words for stuffed animals, to be honest. Let's see, I looked up some of them. You could call it a stuffed toy, a stuffed animal, a plushie, a plush toy, a stuffy, and only in Britain and Australia, they'll also call them soft toys or cuddly toys.
Okay.
But we tend to say teddy bears, even if it's not a bear, or a stuffed animal. So, yeah, there are lots of different words. You're just going to have to learn a couple of them based on where you live primarily, I guess.
I did also want to mention that there is another term for stuffed animal in which you're a hunter or something like that. Maybe you hunted a beaver or something.
Because that's a real animal.
Yeah, so it's an actual animal that you give to a taxidermist, a person who specializes in this. They actually stuff the animal, and you could mount it on your desk or something like that to say, hey, I shot this beaver on my last trip to Canada or whatever. But, you don't really see that so much here in Taiwan. I've never heard of animals stuffed that way. Sometimes they stuff moose head or bear heads or whatever if they caught them. Maybe some people will do that with tigers or whatever if they're hunters. But we're not talking about those. We're talking about lovable stuffed animals that are being donated to this particular agency. Now, original owners are encouraged to share the toys' stories, including their names, likes, and adventures. So, yeah, you're not only required to donate the stuffed animal, but you're also required, or encouraged at least, to provide some stories about them. Like, where did you buy this? Did you take this teddy bear with you on a vacation to France or something? Did you lose it? And did you find it again? And did you give it a name? Did you call it Larry or Lisa or whatever? Yeah, share that information because it will be useful for the new people who adopt those animals.
So what happens to them afterwards? Well, once their original owners, share the toy stories and give their names and the likes and adventures, all these things, the volunteers at Love Before will then thoroughly clean them. To do something thoroughly means very completely. You don't do, kind of a quick job. You do a really good job at something. You thoroughly clean it, and then you restore these toys. Before they are photographed, they get their own portrait taken. I love this. And then they're listed online with detailed profiles for adoption. We put adoption in quotation marks because adoption refers to when real people take the child of other parents into their homes legally, and they take care of them until they're, forever. Actually, they become part of that family forever. Adopt is the verb and adoption is the noun. But here, they're not kids, and they're just toys, but we're saying, they're ready for adoption once they're listed online. A profile here just means someone has written a brief description about you. You provide information about something. Sometimes we'll talk about, I read a profile of my favorite actor in the magazine last month. It was great.
Exactly. So they put the picture online there, and they have some information along with that picture. And so kids can look at the website and decide which stuffed animal they'd like to adopt. And this process allows potential new families to acknowledge each toy's unique legacy and sentimental value. So yes, you just, in addition to just having a picture of a cute stuffed animal, you've got their stories, you've got their names. So these new families can acknowledge or admit that, hey, there's more to this toy than being just a pretty face, just to being a cute little toy. It's actually got a story behind it, and maybe it would like to continue that legacy in a new family, and it also has sentimental value. So here's sentimental. Just means having to do with the emotions, with tenderness, with sadness. It could also be that.
Yeah.
So you might be sentimental about something. It just means you're very emotional about something.
Yeah, it means something to you. It usually has some roots in the past, maybe a good memory. It's attached to someone that you love. So I have something that was my mom's. It's not valuable, but it has sentimental value to me because of its connection to her. So yeah, there are lots of reasons why we keep hold or keep a hold of things that have sentimental value for us. Love Before has seen remarkable success. We're using this new verb for us, rehoming. Here just means to give something a new home. To over 60,000 plush toys. See, notice here we're calling them plush toys in the past 5 years. And Love Before actually donates 50% of their profits to charities, to other charities, which is great. So the organization also advocates. To advocate for something means to publicly support something. So they advocate for sustainable development by reducing waste. We produce too much trash in this world. And they wanted to promote a circular economy. Circular just means shaped in a circular, or a circle, in a circle shape, right? Circular is shaped like a circle. But a circular economy means you keep materials and products in circulation or in use for as long as possible. Your motivation is to reduce waste and the impact on the environment.
Right. So, of course, you're recycling things and using them again, and it just keeps going around and around in circles. You don't waste things. You don't send them to the dump or whatever. And beyond concrete contributions, an intangible flow of love continues. Now, if something's concrete, it's there. You can feel it. You can hold it. But the opposite of that is intangible, which means you can't really feel it. It's there. Maybe you could say, for example, your pastor can give you intangible advice about something. It's not really something you could feel, but you can feel it emotionally. It's not solid.
Wanted to mention you can also pronounce concrete, just like I did concrete, if it's an adjective. So this touching story we end with involves an 80-year-old woman. She donated her teddy bear in her final days, and she wanted somebody else to use her teddy bear and experience all the love that she had with it. Through Loved Before, Liebling is inspiring people to view used items differently. She wants us to treat each toy as a treasure filled with life and love, rather than just some old toy that we kick around. And she demonstrates or shows to us that their value doesn't diminish or become less over time. In fact, it's enriched. It becomes more by ongoing love and interaction. So this is a little bit about Loved Before. You might want to get online and check out this particular company.
And you might give some new life to your stuffed animals, and you won't have to throw them out. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Here comes our Chinese teacher.
接下来的第3段就谈到这个 Loved Before 这个组织是怎么样的运作啦。总而言之，有人捐，然后呢就会有志工来去清洗，然后彻底的清洗之后呢，就会拍照，然后把整个的这个玩具啊，它仔细的一些 profiles 这些档案全部都上网。好，在这一段当中，我们特别注意一下第3句有一个副词叫做 thoroughly。thoroughly 是仔细的，就是副词啊，仔细的。那这个 ly 如果摘掉的话 thorough thoroughgh 不发音哦 thorough 它指的就是完完全全完整的。我们通常会说仔细的检查 thorough examination， 仔细的调查 thorough investigation， 所以它的形容词也很重要。但是啊，如果我们同时看到第5段的第1句第一个字 through 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 则是介系词哦，它就有透过什么样的方式，甚至是穿越什么什么地方的意思。好，这2个字变我们抓出来。当然到了第4段的时候，就会提到 Loved Before 它本身有什么样的成就或者是贡献啊。我们特别注意一下第1句逗点前面的 remarkable success 这2个字可以抓出来。哇，空前的成功诶。这个成功是什么成功呢？逗点之后其实有同位语哦，这个同位语由2个动词 ing 来表现。第一个是 rehoming， 首先呢，他替多少的这个填充玩具、填充动物找到家 ，and donating， 然后又捐了 50% 的 profits to charities 给慈善机构。所以这里的 remarkable success 逗点之后其实是它同位语的一个概念。好，最后面当然我们就看到一些例子啦，例如这个80岁的阿嬷就把她的 teddy bear 捐出来，那在她死后呢，就希望她的 legacy 这个遗产啊，大家呢都可以把它继续传下去。最后面当然第5段就告诉我们，其实重点就是在于环保，而且重点就在于爱。所以这些动物呢，它们的价值是不会因为时间的关系而消失的。最后第10题，我们选 G diminish 减少的这个答案。今天这样子的议题，希望大家都能支持哦。我是安娜，我们下次见。
That's all the time we have, guys. Thanks for joining us. We hope you'll join us again soon. And in the meantime, check out our YouTube channel and Facebook page to learn a little bit more about English. For English Digest, I'm Stephanie.
I'm Tom. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.